everybody, my name is Mariana and I'm the wine buyer at Baco's Wine and Cheese in Back Bay, Massachusetts, and this is VinePath. VinePath is our wine club. Every month a topic or theme is chosen and I pick 4 wines to go with it. For the month of September, one of my favorites because it still feels like summer, warm days, porch hangs, going to the beach still, grilling. Fall is on its way and I just love breaking out the hoodie and drinking some wine. So I picked 4 wines that would be perfect for this time of year. So our first wine is from Mengler, and Mengler family wines. This is their Rosé made of Syrah. They are a very small production. It's Rita and Chris Mengler, a couple that was in pharmaceuticals. In 2014 decided to leave that behind and pursue their passion, which is making wine. They make wines from a lot of different grapes. Dolcetto, Sangiovese, Viognier, but they buy all their grapes from surrounding vineyards in the Russian River Valley and Sonoma in general, from sustainable vineyards. This Syrah all from the Notre Vu vineyard in the Russian River Valley, and as you can see, it's really dark. Doesn't matter the shade of the rosé, that will not indicate if it's sweet or not. This is a dark rosé, and it is dry. This wine actually has very little skin contact, and it just goes to show how dark the Syrah and the pigment of the skin is for it to be this color. This wine was released in the spring, since it's a 2021, so it was harvested last fall, and it's amazing to see how it's changed just in a few months. Just a reminder how wine is alive and it is always evolving in the bottle. So what you taste when you taste a bottle now, you taste that same vintage, that same bottle 3 months later, it's going to be a little different. So this is really mellowed out. It smells more like strawberries that you leave out in the sun, rather than when I first tried it, it was more like candied and electric acidity. The palate, you see more nectarines and more almost like blood orange and really cool stone fruit and citrus. I would really pair this with any cheese that you would have like some preserves on. So just like a cow milk cheese that you would put some apricot jam with. Grilled chicken in a teriyaki rub, or anything that you would just put on the grill. Some corn. This would be delicious with some corn, just because it would add that like freshness. Of this specific wine, only 192 cases are produced. This style of rosé was inspired by rosés from the Rhone, which also they grow a lot of Syrah there, and Grenache as well. But there's a lot of like deeper pigmented rosés that come out of that region that are just like very food friendly. Up next, we have the Scenic Valley Farms, their 2021 estate Ramato of Pinot Gris. So Scenic Valley Farms is a really exciting winery in the Willamette Valley in Oregon. It's a family that's been farming since the 40s. It wasn't until the 70s that they did more hazelnuts, hops, grapes. The vineyard manager is a 3rd generation farmer from this family, Brian Zelensky. The winemaker is Gabriel Jagel. If you've never had a Ramato, it's a really interesting version of Pinot Grigio or Pinot Gris. Pinot Grigio and Pinot Gris is the same grape. They're both mutations of Pinot Noir, and it is a very interesting grape because it has a pink gray hue where it gets its name from. With skin contact, you sometimes don't know what you're going to get. It's not quite a white grape, it's not quite a red grape. So this is not quite a rosé, it's not quite an orange, it's somewhere in between. Ramato is a style of wine that is very historic in northern Italy in the Friuli, Venezia, Giulia region. It wasn't really until the 60s that Pinot Grigio is as we know it today, of that no skin contact, very light, high acid, crisp wine. Originally, Pinot Grigio is made in this Ramato style, so with plenty of skin contact. We would use these grapes and make it as if it was a red wine. So you're getting so much more character from the grape. Ramato, that word comes from rame, meaning copper in Italian. And as you can see, it does have a copper hue, this wine. Scenic Valley Farms, they're making this very similar to how they make their Pinot Noir. So they handpick their grapes and the wine starts fermenting on its skins for 3 weeks. It is vinified dry, meaning they allow all of the sugars to essentially become alcohol. That's how you get a dry wine, when there's no sugars left to become alcohol. They age it in Oregon oak. So talk about terroir. You're growing your grapes, and you're also what you age your wine in also comes from the trees from the area. So that is the ultimate terroir. This smells like a complete spice bomb. Dried ginger, peppercorn, like pink peppercorn, dried flowers. On the palate, those spices really continue. It's almost medicinal. It reminds me almost of an Amaro because you're getting more like dried herbal notes. You still get the candied, fruity acidity that's gorgeous. This is a really loud wine. It really demands your attention when you're smelling and drinking it. I would pair this with something almost spicy sweet, ribs or chicken wings, maybe some Thai food. Really fun wine. Canned wine. This is like the glory days for quality canned wine. So this is actually probably one of my favorites that I've ever had. It's from the Companion Wine Company. It's called their Chilled Red. And you can sip it on its own or serve it in a glass, which this is so delicious that you might as well, because you're going to get so much more out of it if you serve it in a glass. So Companion Wine Company is a collaboration of a bunch of winemakers that just wanted to join forces to make really good quality wine in a can. Chilled Red is actually made from fruit from Monterey County. It's really cool because they even tell you what vineyard, specifically if you ever want to look it up, the Zabala Vineyard. It's made by a winemaker, Ryan Sturm, which we're a big fan of at Bacco's. We have his Pinot Noir and his Albarino Pet Nat. He teamed with a bunch of winemakers to start the Companion Wine Company. There's a bunch of different kinds made by different winemakers. So why are cool wineries going to canned wine? Many reasons. A can is about half a bottle. It's 375 milliliters. I think a lot of people during the pandemic, either that live alone or if they don't share as much wine, it was more difficult to open a whole bottle of wine. These, you can take them on the go. You don't have to commit to a whole bottle. The only thing is that wines in a can don't necessarily age really well. You should probably drink them within the year and a half that they're canned. So Ryan Sturm's dream was to just have really good raw wine in a can and have it be accessible to people. And he's doing a great job. This is Grenache planted in the Arroyo Seco region. And it's just exactly how Grenache should be. It's called the Chill Red for a reason. It does benefit from chilled, all of the fun red fruits, pomegranate, cranberry, just tart cherry, pair with mushroom pizza. You know, you're not gonna necessarily bring this to Thanksgiving dinner, but maybe you'll take it to a tailgate of your favorite concert. Another fun thing is that they dedicate this can, as you can see there's a piano on the label, to a jazz artist, Jimmy Smith, and his electrifying use of the Hammond B3 organ on his seminal album Back at the Chicken Shack. Awesome. Is anyone watching The House of the Dragon out there right now? I know it's a thing, and look at this label. Classic Italian Rosso di Montalcino. This is the San Guglielmo. San Guglielmo is actually a new winery in Montalcino, and this is their inaugural, so their first bottling of the Rosso di Montalcino 2019. So Mike Motiu and Ilaria Martini are behind San Guglielmo. This is like I said, this is their first vintage. They also make a Brunello di Montalcino. Some people say that Montalcino makes some of the best wines of Italy. I would definitely agree with that. These are really high elevation vineyards that work with the Sangiovese grape. They also call it Brunello, the grape itself, or Sangiovese Grosso. This wine smells so vibrant. It's cranberry and pomegranate, but with this earthy edge of like fresh dirt. Almost definitely a licorice component. The first thing that really strikes me is how light and fresh it feels, but then there's just so much more going on. A lot of sour cherry and almost like cherries dipped in chocolate. The tannins kind of layer up as you go. It has a really beautiful finish of, you know when you eat a really elegant, delicious dark chocolate that is so fruity and it just stays, that flavor stays in your mouth for a while. That's what this reminds me of. It's just this like fruity chocolate, dark chocolate. I would pair this with, because it feels lifted, but yet still like has an edge to it. Something with a red sauce, but maybe more like an eggplant parmesan, or even last year I had some hen of the woods mushrooms that were breaded and fried, so it was almost like an eggplant parmesan with mushrooms with a red sauce and some cheese. That's what this would go with. Rosso di Montalcino is basically like baby Brunello. So Brunello di Montalcino has so many rules and regulations of how it should be made. It's a very intense, big wine. Rosso di Montalcino only needs 1 year of aging. It's definitely just the lighter, fun cousin of Brunello. So Mike and Ilaria only have 2 hectares in their vineyard. So this is a really small production. Again, 1,000 feet of elevation, all Sangiovese Grosso. I'm really excited to see how this young winery develops. It's really interesting because even though they're a young winery, it's such a historic part of Italy. This wine is just so fragrant. There's a simplicity to it, yet it still is dynamic. And that's kind of what you want with Hoodie weather wines. You want something easy to digest, but also exciting. So I hope you all enjoyed this month. This is a transition month. We will be drinking a little heartier stuff as soon as it gets colder. But I think these were great companions for your September.